what does weaving mean to you?
Oh, it means my solace. It's a means of escape. It's a means of creation. It's a means of making my mind active. It's very, very important for me. It makes me sane.
Hello, and welcome to the New York Guild of Handweavers Member Spotlight. My name is Katie Clements, and I'm the membership chair of the Guild. With almost 200 members, the New York Guild of Handweavers provides inspiration, information, and mutual support to anyone interested in weaving, tapestry, spinning, or fiber arts through speakers, workshops, as well as our lending library. Go to nyhandweavers.org for more information. Today, we will talk with New York Guild member Terry Henley. Terry was born and raised in LA. On a vacation trip over 45 years ago, he came to New York City and immediately decided that this was the place for him. He's been living and working here ever since. His working life was spent in the information technology field as a computer programmer and systems analyst. Because of the parallels of the binary logic of computers and loom weaving, it was an easy step into the realm of weaving. After learning the basics of weaving, Terry studied extensively at the Fashion Institute of Technology in Manhattan. Terry has taught beginning four-shaft weaving to children and adults from private classes to groups of 25. In 2012, he taught a two-session A Taste of Weaving to the 108 students of the 10th grade class at the High School of Fashion. He has demonstrated weaving and spinning at the Museum of Art and Design, King Manor Museum, Dyckman Farmhouse Museum, Morris Jumel Mansion, the New York Public Library, and the Medieval Festival. Terry's work has been exhibited in galleries in New York, and he sells his work at the Hudson Mohawk Weavers Guild Show and Sale in Albany. A large part of his work is done on commission. He weaves shawls, scarves, towels, rugs, and wall hangings. Terry and Darby Downey, also a New York Guild member, founded the Crosstown Shuttlers, a weaving challenge group about 15 years ago. Welcome, Terry Henley.
Hi, Katie.
Glad to see you. So
it's
let's
good to see you.
Delve into some questions. Tell me
Okay.
about how you came to move to New York City.
Well, I was on a vacation and I lived in and was working in Los Angeles in an IT position at the LA Times. And I came here on a vacation to visit a relative and found a place that I thought was a real city. I mean, the museums, the excitement, it was all just very, very wonderful. And I was lucky to be able to get a job at the New York Times. So here I stayed and I've been happy ever since.
When did you move?
1976.
All right. So what fiber arts and crafts did you do before weaving?
Oh boy. Well, when I was a kid, I always watched my grandmother crochet, and I thought it was sort of fascinating that she could work these things up so quickly and easily. And so I asked her to teach me how to do it, and we ended up making, believe it or not, crocheted pot holders. You know, everybody had those pot holders, not me. I had a crochet hook, but it sort of got me interested in fiber work, and I did a lot of crochet work on and off over the years. And yeah, crochet work. And then after that, sort of around the late 60s, early 70s, people were doing needlepoint. Lots and lots and lots of needlepoint. You'd walk into houses, get sick of seeing needlepoint pillows and needlepoint pictures. But I went along with that, and I did quite a bit of that as well. I never really did much. I did any designing, for example. I always followed patterns, whether it was with crochet or needlepoint, but I always somehow did something to it to make it my own. I mean, I just didn't do plain tip stitch with the needlepoint. I'd add something a little bit more complicated, or I'd blend colors a little bit more. No, it was a lot of fun in that respect.
And so tell me what got you started into weaving?
Oh, well, after moving to New York, I decided to go a little bit further east, go to Europe. And my first stop was Paris, and really enjoyed it, especially since I had taken French in college and had no real opportunity to speak. Although in New York, most of my friends spoke French, so there we go. While there in Paris, I went to Les Gobelins, which is the tapestry manufacturer there. They do other things, but mostly it's tapestry. And they had a tour and actually showed people weaving, and just everything about it just blew me away. The colors, the yarn, and most particularly the sound. There was utter silence in these weaving areas, but whenever they would have to pack the weft in, there would be these, I'm not even sure what they're called, but combs that would be beating down the weft. And just the sound of it was just sort of hypnotic. And I thought to myself at that time, gee, I've got to look into that, you know, when I get back to New York and see if I can find out how to do that. And then coming back to New York, I looked around, and don't ask me how I found this place because I don't remember. This was really pre-internet and pre-Google. So maybe it's through the Yelp pages, if that existed or not. But I found a place up in Midtown called School Products. And at that point, they were like a major place to go for looms and weaving supplies. So I went there one day and I'm poking around and really getting interested in looking at things. I think one of the major saleswomen came up to me and said, could I help you? I said, well, yeah, I'm sort of interested in this, but I really don't know where to start. And she said, oh, well, we're having a weaving class here. It meets one night a week and for 4 weeks. And why don't you sign up and see if you like it? So I said, okay, I did. I loved it. At the end of 4 weeks, I had purchased a loom, a 4-shaft shacked, and I was up and running at home. So that was the beginning.
Well, you mentioned that what drew you in, the tapestry, isn't something that the direction you ended up going. No,
that's a peculiar thing. As a matter of fact, I took some courses in tapestry weaving. It's not at all what I like to do. So it was sort of a gateway into the weaving that I do. And yeah, it is. What I like to do is pattern weaving on multi-shaft loom.
Then now you currently have a 16-shaft loom, but you said you
That's right.
Use 8.
For the most part, yes. I found that, you know, I lusted after 16 shafts. I absolutely had to have it. And once I got it, I realized my legs are too short. I can't do the full reach and use all the treadles to lift the shafts that I need to. And not only that, if you tie up balance so that you're lifting 8 shafts against 8 shafts, that's pretty heavy and it takes a lot of strength. And well, I just don't have that kind of strength anymore. So for the most part, I do 8 shaft. I sometimes do 12 shaft.
How long was it before you moved from 4 shaft to more?
I lived with 4 shafts for quite a long time. And in fact, the loom that I purchased originally was a 4 shaft with room for an additional 4. And so I got the additional 4 shafts probably within 3 years. I was encouraged not to do that right away because everyone said, oh, 4 shaft, you will never exhaust the number of patterns that you can do with it. You'll never get tired of it. Well, yes, but that still didn't dissipate my lust for more shafts and more patterning. So
what would you tell? Go ahead.
Oh, begin with full. Begin with full. No.
What if someone said, I've been weaving for 3 months with 4, I want to go with 8, what would you say to
I say, go,
them?
follow what you want to do. You know, it depends upon the person. I mean, I know people who absolutely didn't want to do anything more than plain weave. So what more than shafts? What do you need it for? They're
And-
very happy doing just plain weave, because all they're interested in is creating color or texture and a little bit of pattern. You know, and you can do that with 4 shafts. So why bother getting more?
And others who just crave that complexity.
And I do sort of like that complexity. That's what triggers my joy.
As a weaver, what comes easy to you and what is challenging?
Well, I'll tell you, what comes easy is throwing the shuttle. I mean, there's not much to that. To me, and I'm probably going to alienate a lot of weavers here, the thing that I like to do is the threading and the slitting. I mean, that's, to me, if I could slay or thread 20 inches at 30 ends per inch and a complex pattern and get it correct the first time, I'm happy. I'm a happy person.
I'm curious about your education in weaving.
Education. Okay. Well, as I say, I started with 4 weeks, 1 night a week at this course at School Products. And that really was the bare minimum. I mean, I barely learned how to get the loom set up and started weaving. I've taken courses with various weavers over the years. One of my first teachers was Peggy Osterkamp, who's still weaving in the West Coast now and producing a blog, which I read every time. Hi, Peggy. Other weavers, I've taken most classes at FIT, getting weaving with Desiree Coslin. Wonderful, wonderful weaver. I've taken courses with Nels Namorowski, who unfortunately is no longer with us. And with Lini Ugar, I took tapestry and rug making. Got a good grade in that, but I still didn't like doing the tapestry that much.
So tell me about studying color.
Oh, well, that's always been a big problem with me, even when I was doing earlier stuff in crochet and needle. Color was always a struggle for me. So I decided while I was at FIT and studying weaving that I would take a color course, and there was one gig. It was hard. It only met 1 night a week, but the homework was so strenuous that I would spend all of Saturday and part of Sunday just doing my homework for that class and working at a full-time job at the same time. It was a real struggle, but that forced me to really think about color, not just sort of float along and stay with my traditional blues or browns that I was used to. And also, one thing that happened, once I got to really weaving well enough, a dear friend of mine at work commissioned me to weave a scarf for her. The scarf was to be in celebration of a cat that she dearly loved that had to be put down. So she thought she would treat herself by giving herself a silk scarf. I said, okay, I'll bring in some sample yarn that you can choose from, and then we'll go from there. Well, I brought in these samples of yarn, and I thought, oh, she's going to check 4, maybe 5 colors. No, 19 skeins of very expensive silk. And I had to make it work. I had to use all 19 colors. Well, some of it ended up in the warp and some of it ended up in the weft, but managed to do it.
Were you happy with the outcome?
I was extremely happy because it sort of forced me to work with colors that I wasn't really wanting to, or that was easy. And that's a good thing to do. I mean, you force yourself out of the usual, the easy, and work on something that's not in your comfort zone. Actually, she saw a scarf on a friend, and it turns out that scarf was woven by a very fine weaver, Randy Darwell. And everybody who knows Randy's work, it's just incredible color. But of course, he got his color not from Jill skeins, but by dyeing and over dyeing individual warps. So it's a challenge, but I think my friend was very happy with the result.
That must have felt so good to have met that challenge.
Oh boy, seventh heaven. I mean, I felt like I made it.
You and Darby Downey founded Crosstown Shuttlers, a weaving challenge group. So it's a group based on challenge.
Well, actually, it began because Darby used to live in Albany. And in Albany, there's a huge group of weavers. And they are absolutely some of the most top-notch I've ever seen. But there is one side group up there, aside from the Albany group, the Hudson Mohawk Guild of Weavers. There's a side group called Arachne, and you are invited into that group strictly based on your ability to weave and meet a challenge. And they challenge one another by giving a theme, and you have to weave something in a given period to come up and match that challenge. So we modeled the Crosstown Shuttlers based on that. So we issued challenges, maybe something simple as, say, well, maybe not simple, but curves. So you have to weave something with curves. How you address that is your response. And we meet once a month, and all of our results, not all of our results, but most of our results, I get pictures and put it on our website.
How do you come up with the weaving challenges?
We ask everybody to contribute. So everybody, I know one person is very, very fond of music. So she usually picks a music theme. There's another one who's fond of poetry. And another one is more like me, they're more fond of patterns. So amongst the members, we come up with challenges all over the place.
Well, let's go over some photos. I'm going to go into a screen share. Well, we'll start with some of your early work.
Oh my God. This is probably one of the last crocheted pieces that I did. And God, it is just so awful. I mean, it's the workmanship on it isn't bad, but I want to tell you, the only thing I could afford then was brown acrylic yarn. And it just feels awful. But there it is. It was fun to do. But again, it was not an original pattern. I found the pattern someplace and I just did.
So then you also mentioned needlepoint. So
yes.
Love this.
Yes. This piece I still have. Again, it's not an original design by me, but all the workmanship is there. I found that I was doing some blending of colors with the yarn. Also, the background is not just a plain tent stitch, it's some sort of, I don't know what it's called now, but it's more of a texture than just the plain needlepoint. And then, of course, I put my initials down in the corner.
In different background stitch.
In
a different,
it's in a tent stitch, yeah. Same yarn, but a different tent stitch.
Talk about this piece.
Okay, This is a wall hanging. It's about 18 inches wide and maybe 2 feet long. This I call freedom because I worked for over 30 years in a corporate environment. And as such, you were expected to wear a coat and tie every single day. Well, when I retired, I also retired all of the ties. And I never wore a tie again. But hanging in my closet, it sort of bothered me that they were just taking up that space. Not much, but it bothered me. So I took them all out, undid them all, took out all of the internal, whatever it was, that buckram or whatever it was that was inside of it, and stripped it down and made basically a rag rug. So we have here a silk rag rug made out of ties. And the little pieces that you find floating there on the surface are those little pieces that are left after you can't get a straight strip of cloth out of a tie. So I'm not going to just throw those away. I'm going to hand embed them in there.
Oh,
But
so those aren't the ends of each weft, those are separate pieces.
oh no, these are all separate little pieces that are hand put in. Yeah.
I think the wings of freedom.
Yeah. Well, it certainly represents freedom to me. I have it hanging on the wall, and it's the first thing I see when I wake up in the morning.
Oh, let's hear about this one.
Oh, this is another wall hanging. This one's a little bit long, and it's still about the same width. It's about 18 inches wide. The warp is cotton. It's 16-2 in 2 different colors, and I think the set for those weavers out there is about 24 ends per inch. The striped area that you see there was put on the loom, and then I pulled it out and stenciled the leaves on the warp before I wove it. So that was a little bit of it was a fun project because I had to find different kinds of leaves and then create the stencils from the leaves and then paint them in. Of course, you have to paint it and then wait for it to dry, or do as I did with a hair dryer and speed up the process.
So is it a thing that the entire warp is stretched out that you're working on?
Not the entire warp. Do it in sections of about 1.5 feet.
Wow.
And then I weave that, pull it out more, do another 1.5 feet. And the weave is not a plain weave. It's something that's called a dice weave or a crepe weave. It's an 8-shaft weave, just as balanced, but it's not, it looks more like a texture rather than any kind of a pattern.
You said crepe weave?
Yeah.
Okay, next we have, oh, love these towels. Let's hear about them.
Well, this is these are my sort of go-to projects when I'm really not working towards a challenge, or I don't have anything specific in mind. I'll put on a warp and weave some towels because, well, they can always be used as gifts or sale item. My cottons are, all my towels are cotton. And a lot of people say, oh, they're too nice to use. I say, no, use them. That way you can get more from me. You know where I am.
Now this is a towel I purchased at one of your shows, and there's your red.
My.
Yeah.
There you go.
I love it. In fact,
white warp, but
and I have it right here just to show it in 3D. Yeah, it's fun to see it at different depths.
yeah, I like this.
You had a little story about this one.
Ah, yes. Again, I was weaving towels, but there was some warp left on before after I had finished the number of towels, and I thought, well, I'm not going to waste this. I mean, we don't do that as weavers. So I continued to weave, and this little piece came off, and I hemmed it, and it is my very favorite daily napkin. I use it at every single meal and I love it.
Speaking of using things that can be used, I love this rug of yours.
Ah, yes. This is a wonderful design by Tom Knisley, and it's not his colors, but it's mine. And I enjoyed weaving it. It's just, again, it's nothing but plain weave, but the weft are old sheets that I had that I cut up into strips, and the warp, which you see running across the screen this way, is differentiated because the set on darker stripes is about 24 inches per inch, and in the lighter stripes, it's only 12. So it makes for a texture. Here you can see it a little bit better. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice. And we'll do a little plug for the book.
Yes, that's a wonderful book. Yeah.
Oh, and this is the cover shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
He was using, I think, in that rather wonderful stuff, old saris from India, cotton saris.
Yeah. Wow.
I didn't have any cotton saris to rip up, so I used my bed sheets that were dyed.
To great effect. Beautiful work. Let's see. And another one.
This may have been from an article in Handwoven.
Okay.
But I have woven, this is a rep-faced, rep-weave rug that I had in my bathroom for years and years and years. And I wove one in different colors, but the same pattern for another friend of mine who was redoing his bathroom.
Beautiful. Oh, now we're into scarves.
Oh boy.
Tell me about how you come up with the designs for your scarf. And you were saying that each scarf you make is unique.
Yeah. Everything that I don't think I have repeated anything. I may have done the same pattern for some other use. I know I've done this same pattern for some towels, but this is a scarf. It's done in 16's2 bamboo, which is very fine, which I found a really nice substitute for silk because it has that same glossiness and gives you wonderful, wonderful drape, and doesn't have a lot of problems that other artificial or rather unnatural fibers do. This is in response to one of the challenges for our Crosstown group. And it was my challenge. The challenge was send me some love. So
the X and O's.
Yeah. I remember when we were in school, kids would exchange Valentine's on Valentine's Day, and you'd always sign your name with an X and an O and an X and an O and an X and O. Dear departed friend of mine, he always sign his emails to me that way. So I thought, sending me some love. So
yeah, beautiful. And I think we have a different photo of this. Why is this picture looking so different?
Well, first of all, you're seeing it kind of folded and you're seeing the drape, and you're always seeing the way the light reflects off of the fibers themselves, because it shows differently. And you can see there down towards the bottom of the page that the pattern almost disappears because of the light. And of course, that's one of the things I liked about silk, was it has that wonderful shimmer.
Silk. Did you say?
Silk, yes. And this does. Oh boy.
This is a piece that I have here because I got it from your sale. And I think you had a story about this scarf.
I know that it was one of the most difficult things I've ever woven. Simply, and again, this is not my pattern, it's not my creation. I simply found it on, I think Weaver's Net someplace. Anyway, I just supplied the yarn and the skill to put it together. And Threading the loom was not difficult, but the treadling sequence in one part of it, very, very difficult, simply because I could not find a logical way for it to happen. It would be treadle 8, then treadle 6, then treadle 5, then treadle 7. No logic to it at all. But of course, there was some underlying logic because it eventually produced these patterns, but I could not find it mentally. So I had to rely on a printed output, very carefully followed each step along the way.
Well, that persistence, I think of this as the persistence scarf. So, and then here's another one, which I also have. Boy, your color choice here. Oh. This looks like a fabric gem. Just so.
I have woven this lozenge pattern in so many different colors, and I do love this pattern. And I think I may have come up with this one by myself, just by messing around at the computer. Here. This was one of the challenges of our group.
Yeah, tell me about this one.
Okay, the challenge was jumping through hoops. So of course I had to make hoops in the design, and this is sort of a typical overshot design. It's nothing very original about it. I did decide to change up the colors in it, but I wove it all the time thinking that I'm going to put an embroidery hoop on it.
I'm impressed by those circles. By the hoops in your.
By the hoops in the hoop.
In the hoop, yeah, yeah, definitely.
And when I take the embroidery off, the embroidery hoop off, it can is like a little table runner or something that you would put underneath the vase or something.
Nice. Oh, now into your spinning.
Oh dear. Okay, well, the only reason I got into spinning was because I could make more yarn that I wouldn't have to buy. Well, that's kind of silly because spinning takes a lot of work. It takes a long time. That's why you have 3 or 4 spins for one weaver at a sheep to shawl. I mean, it takes forever to spin enough for a real project. But this is some stuff that I just recently finished. It's a blend of merino and tencel. And it's, I have plans for this. I have plans for this.
Oh, good.
It's going to go on.
To be continued then.
Yes.
These are some shots of your studio. How
yes,
yeah, talk to me about your yarn collection. And
well, it's the usual chaos. I don't have a color that I need, so I'll get on the internet and I'll find someplace that has it and have it shipped to me. And then I really don't have room for it, so I guess I'll just go on the floor like everything else. And nothing is organized. But then I sort of like it that way, because when I get just choosing a project, I sit down there on that floor and I look around me and I see what's good. And then I'll put cones together and say, oh, that looks nice together. And this helps with my color problems too, because of course, you'll never really find out what it looks like until you get it on the loom and woven, but it can give you a clue as to what your colors are going to be like. And the more experience that you have in using these various colors, the better you're going to be. You're going to know more about how it's going to react in the web.
This is things that you've completed.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, those 2 bins are full of scarves and towels, and plus all of the rugs and stuff that are up on the bench. Yeah, I've got a lot of work done, and there's stuff in other rooms too.
So you've been weaving, let's see, 40 40 some years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
how has your weaving changed over time?
Probably gotten more complicated. Yes, definitely. One little side story. When I first began weaving, I'd bring everything that I had done into work to show to people what I'd done, you know, madly enthusiastic. Well, I put on a warp of brown pens to cotton. You know, it's fairly fine. I thought, okay, I'm going to try and weave a really good tutu twill. You know, it's basic. And I must have woven 5 yards of this stuff that I was going to cut up into napkins. Oh my God. It was just awful. But I was so proud of it because it was perfect. I didn't miss a beat. Everything was fine. The twill angle was exactly 45 degrees. I thought, wow, this is terrific. And so I took it in and I showed it to a woman. She just took one look at it and said, why would you do this?
Oh,
Oh, I was absolutely crushed.
oh,
Absolutely. But I thought about it for a while and I thought, you know what? She's right. She's right. I'm doing something that could be better done faster, more economically on a commercial loom. From that point, I made a decision that what I made had to be something that could not be done easily on a commercial basis and had to have something that was more, well, let's say, unique, something that couldn't be done effectively commercially. So that's where things became more complicated. Things became more textural, more.
well, what I noticed about you as you seeing you weave, there's an efficiency, there's an economy of motion there too.
Well, I think there has to be. There has to be. If you want to produce and if you really want to get weaving done, you have to have a certain economy. No, don't waste your time with things. Learn to do something and do it in a fashion that it's not going to be taking up all of your time. Get it done, find techniques that help you, and move with it. The object is get the work on the loom, weave it, get it off, finish it.
Do you find yourself consciously paring down things, or that's just a natural outcome of weaving?
No, that's just a natural outcome of my work experience. I had a very good friend at work one time, came and sat while I was working at the computer at work. And she said, oh, is that how you do that? Or is that how you do that? Is that how you? And she said, we all should come and sit in one another's cubicles and see how things are done so that we can prove our own technique. And that's exactly what I do. I watch other weavers, see how they do. I watch spinners, see how they do. And hey, you're doing it better and easier. I'm going to take up what you're doing. So that's what I do.
Who and what do you find inspiring?
Oh, all of New York. This really is the most exciting city in the world to live in. As much as I love Paris and France, it's a big part of my life, but no, New York. Find a lot to inspire me. I mean, just the patterning of buildings, even brickwork. There's lots and lots of stuff. And when the man-made part of it fades, there's always our wonderful gardens. New York Botanical Garden, I find absolutely wonderful place to escape to unwind and see color and plants. It's wonderful here. been noticing that more and more lately, that the subway stations, especially the newer ones, have got wonderful, wonderful tile work. And some of the elevated stations have got what appears to be stained glass in them. I think it's very exciting.
I feel very proud of our city.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. Can you talk about exhibiting your work? What's the process of exhibiting? And for you, how has it been to exhibit your work?
Well, I've had kind of a mixed bag. I've shown in a gallery with other people. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, I would get in there and I would hang my own stuff, and that was a long time ago when I knew some artist friends who could get me places in galleries, but that no longer exists. Showing for the last couple of years, I have not been there, but the sale at the Hudson Mohawk Guild of Handweavers in Albany, they have a wonderful, wonderful show at the just before the Thanksgiving holiday. They used to have a place at this historic house, and they would quite literally fill the parade house with hand woven goods, nothing but hand woven goods, and it was sensational. Everything, towels and linens and rugs and handmade garments. The garments would blow you away, but I was lucky enough to be able to show there and sell, and it was quite good. Recently, showing in New York, it's not been especially pandemic, but there is one sale that I attend. It's the Yorkville show at Christmas time, and you were there. And I like that show because there are not only weavers, but there are potters, there are fine jewelers, and the quality is not the typical. It's not the typical show that you can show at, and I appreciate being in that kind of a crowd.
Well, so now to the Guild. How did you find out about the New York Guild of Handweavers?
I was in my beginning weaving class at FIT with Desiree Coslin, and she said, everybody should go and join this guild because they have wonderful programs, and if you're interested in weaving, it's the place to go. So I went, and I think after maybe 3 or 4 meetings, no, it was maybe after about a year, they asked me to join the board. And I can remember the then president said to me, come on, we want you to join. You know, you're enthusiastic, you got this. I said, oh, no. And finally, just to get rid of her, I said, oh, only if you can't get anybody else. Well, that was her go ahead. So I ended up being on the board. And I think my first job was librarian. It was a good thing because I didn't have to do anything in between meetings. I didn't do much because our library was right there at the YWCA that doesn't exist anymore building. But we had a cabinet that we could take checkbooks in and out of. Really an easy job. And I think I've had almost every board job in the guild, wow, with the exception of secretary and treasurer.
Wow.
So,
well, when I came into the guild, you were the membership person, and I always knew I could count on a very warm welcome, a smile, a warm welcome. Here's your name tag, and just it was guaranteed warmth, and that's just a nice thing to be able to count on.
Well, my philosophy was, you know, that people are coming in here cold. They don't know anybody. You know, they should at least have one person that said, hello, how are you? You know, and because it wasn't that way when I joined the guild. It was not a very friendly group, but I stuck with it. And no, I always felt, you know, geez, people are getting out of their way to come to a meeting. They should at least see somebody who we have the same interests. We're interested in weaving. You know, come on, let's make something out of this.
What brought you back despite that?
Oh, just
experience?
persistence. And then I met my great friend Darby Honey there. And we just sort of locked eyes with one another and said, this has got to change. Come on.
Yeah.
So while she was president, I was vice president. And when I was president, she was vice president. And we just sort of, and we both worked on newsletter for a number of years. And like that.
Wow, that's a great history.
Yeah.
So what does being part of the guild mean to you?
It's family, it's support, it's encouragement. It's something that I really look forward to our meetings. And I'm dying to see what everybody's doing, gossip with them. Gossip's a lot of fun, you know?
And being in
And
person.
yes, being in person. Oh, that's something I miss so much. You know, I mean, these are people that I hug when I see them, and when you can't see them, it's tough. It's really tough. You know, and also the guild, when we do get things to do outreach, that's a great part of it, you know. I mean, the guild was asked to do a number of demonstrations a number of times, and we went through with it. It was fun.
Kind of converting people.
Oh yes, oh yes. No, I was thinking about outreach, and one time we were up in forgotten the name of the place in Upper Manhattan. Anyway, we were on the porch, and I was doing some spinning at the time, and I was doing some spinning, and this Irish woman came up to me and said, "Oh, you've made my day. I haven't seen that since I left Ireland." It just tickled me so, you know, that you reach people so many different ways. You think, well, here I am, just people think that this is old crafty thing, and yet here someone was actually used to seeing it in a more quotidian way. And I thought, that's wonderful, you know, and she hadn't seen it since she left Ireland. It was fun.
Oh, and the meaning that had for her.
Yeah, it did.
What does weaving mean to you?
Oh, it means my solace. It's a means of escape. It's a means of creation. It's a means of making my mind active. It's very, very important for me. Makes me sane.
Thank goodness we have it.
Yeah, yeah, especially in these times. Oh my. Oh, I think I told you at one point that my daily spinning occurs during the news hour, and it's having something to do with my hands at that particular time probably saves me from yelling and screaming at the television. Of course, my yarn sometimes goes, boop, boop. We could just blame that on what happens.
What are you looking forward to?
More of the same. More of the same. I'm going to keep on winning. I'm going to keep on selling. I'm going to keep on making. Yeah.
How do people find out about where you are selling?
I usually try and post it on the website,
On the Crosstown Shuttlers website?
On Crosstown, yeah.
Okay.
If I have an engagement, I do.
Okay.
I don't know if I'll be going to Albany this year. I don't, but I'm pretty sure I'll be going to the Yorkville show. And anything else that comes up, I'll be posting it on the web.
And do they include that info in the Guild newsletter?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
And anything you'd like to add?
Oh, yes, Katie, thank you for doing this.
Thank
It's
you. Thank you.
been terrific. I enjoyed it a great deal.
Oh, I think I get so much out of it. I know other Guild members get a lot out of it. So I appreciate you sharing.
Oh, yes. Well, I hope when we meet up in person, that everybody can come up and say hi and tell me what you're doing. I want to know.
Thank you, Terry.
Okay. Thanks, Katie. Bye-bye.
And thanks for watching. If you like the video, please like, comment, and share, and subscribe to the NYGH YouTube channel. If you're interested in joining the New York Guild of Handweavers, please go to nyhandweavers.org. We will see you in the next video, and until then, happy weaving. Bye-bye.